Okay, let's go. I played a game a couple of days ago on like Saturday, um, and I might not have actually uploaded the previous one yet. No, I think I have. So I did not prep for that game. I knew that my opponents would be fine, like similar rating as I have. Yeah, look, and I assumed that I would play white, and I thought about my opening for a little bit. I planned to play a reti or something. I usually play e4, but I wanted to try out a reti because I like playing a Benoni. I don't often play a Benoni as black because I don't see a lot of d4s right now, honestly. And in the reti you can get into a reverse Benoni, which is a very interesting structure, and I wanted to try that. However, like 1 hour before the game, our board 1 player couldn't make it anymore, so we had to find someone to take over. They went on board 5, and then everyone in between moved up a board, so instead of playing on board 2 as white, I played on board 1 as black, which I wasn't expecting. This is a copium moment, ignore that. So let's actually play the game. I played black here, and I played this opening, which I have played in the past. I don't think I've ever shown my prep on this as a video, but I've played this quite a bit, or my exact prep. So after e5, knight d to b5. So I got to this position and I thought, hey, you know what'd be funny if I made a bad move, basically. So the last time I got into this position was against someone with a rating of like 1950, and I drew that game, and that was solid. So now and after that game, so I played the d6 in that position, like 99% of all games went. I asked my opponent, if I played another move, how would you have responded to that? And they don't know the opening, so they would have just basically fallen for my opening trap. So I played bishop b4 here, which is not a good move. And you can already see in the opening database, you can already see the best move. And so my opponent previously said that they would play knight d6 because, like, you know, if you play knight d to b5, your plan is to play knight d6. I don't stop it, so you play knight d6. And then this is the this is the main move, king e7. I threatened to take the knight. And there are two moves, knight c8 and knight f6. I've played it in blitz, like actually there was a recap just now that I looked at. I played this in blitz 20 times this year, and I have only ever seen knight f5. Like 100% of the games I've ever played were knight f5. So knight takes c8 is the other move, and I have never ever seen this in my life ever. It looks very interesting because, I mean, you trade knight for bishop, but my rook gets active and the bishop couldn't escape, but now I don't need to let it escape, basically. And I get a rook, there's pressure here on the knight, which is great. My king is very weird, but other than that, yeah, I mean, this is just an interesting position to play. I've never seen this. The main line, I'm fairly certain the main line should go knight f5, king f8, and then you're kind of stuck. because I threatened to take this pawn, and I'm threatening d5. And I believe bishop, there is one of these moves loses a piece. I believe it might be bishop d3. And then I play d5. I believe this is the line, and then you're kind of in trouble. I'm not sure. None of this happened, but like I wanted to show this because this is something that I prepped, and like this position, according to the engine, I can show you, is 0-0. It's calculating. Look, it started out pretty high, and now it's... Yeah, keep going. Should be a bit lower than that. Okay, it's not bishop d3. Then there was one move that loses a piece. I thought at least. Okay, it's basically equal. Here it says 0.2. I mean, you have to go to f8 obviously, otherwise g7 hangs. I'm showing you this because it doesn't matter. This wasn't how the game went. 0.1, there we go. And this, it thinks should be equal. Yeah. Depth 25 equal. I mean, told you. Unfortunately, this is not what happened. My opponent fought for like 10 seconds and played the move a3, which is by far the main line, and now I'm very much behind. And I mean, I'm kind of in trouble here. There are a couple of issues here, but mostly like, where do I move my bishop? I kind of want to stay on this diagonal. I kind of want to keep this pin. I mean, the only move I really have is to take, and then I'm just in a worse version of the Shveshnikov Sicilian in general, because there's no bad knight here, and I don't have any stuff here. And my opponent after the game mentioned that this was something that they knew somehow. I don't know. Yeah, and then I just have to play this out. So I think I made in this entire game 2 or 3 mistakes, and bishop b4 was one of them, and that was prepped. And there's one that I'm unsure of, and we'll get there when we get there, and one definitely that I realized was a mistake at the time. So yeah, let's go here. Knight takes c3, I castled, bishop c4, which I don't think is the best move. I thought bishop g5 would have been way better, because now I can prevent bishop g5, which has some issues as well, but we'll get there. Bishop e3, and now I need to find some way to develop this bishop. Like right now this pawn is pretty okay. But if I move it to d6, it can become under threat, and even if I played to this d6 now, I don't know, actually it doesn't fall just yet, because if on knight b5 I still have knight e4, but d6 f3 threatens this pawn, and then I'd need to find something. So instead I flipped them around basically. I played queen e7 with the idea that I can then defend like that, rook d8, and I didn't play queen c7 because of some knight things, and especially this one actually. So I played queen e7 and f3 again, d6, queen d2 with some pressure here. That was the main issue for h6 as well. there can be a kingside attack forming, and I mean I just have to defend that. And maybe counterattack with my open C file, which is easier said than done. Played bishop e6, which might be not sure. But like, I mean, I expected what happened, and it looked okay to me actually. So knight d5 is the obvious move, and I can't take with my knight because then this loses a piece. So I have to take like this, and then my opponent can take with the bishop and keep a pawn from d5 to d6 as a threat, or play 2 knights versus 2 bishops. But this I anticipated, and I assumed that in this position, I mean I have to move my knight, and it went here because there's no better move, and then it goes here. I have a center, and my opponent can't really defend this all that well. I mean, it's defended very well already, but they can't defend it anymore, because that would force a move like c4, which can become a threat for me, or which I can basically attack here. And I mean, and my opponent wants to probably castle queenside already, because they want to attack like this and use this bishop here. So in the case of a kingside attack with queenside castling, then this can become an issue, and I have counterplay, sort of, was my idea. In the case of a kingside castle, I'm just like, you can't really go for a kingside attack. You can defend this, and white has a very slight edge, I think. So, I mean, white's always better, but I don't think it's as bad as it looks. And so, yeah. I assumed that this would be reasonable. Not great, but like, I mean, I'm playing black. I got opening tricked to some extent, and now I need to defend, and I mean, everything's okay. It's not bad. No, it's worse, but it's not bad. Was my opinion of this position. My opponent decided to queenside castle and do this idea, which makes sense. And in response, maybe I should play h5. I looked at it for a little bit. Instead, I played the other obvious move to just redevelop my knight, and it can go here and here, maybe even here. And my opponent played g4, I believe, yeah. My opponent played g4. Here I found something reasonable. I think it's reasonable. It looks reasonable, at least. So I want to try to close this as much as possible, the king side. So what I tried is, I want to play basically g5. But while it's defended properly, because now you can just take. So I need to defend it more. So I tried knight h7. And it has a backup plan. So g5 is my threat, and I think if I get g5 I'm completely fine. So my opponent really only has one move, which is to prevent g5 with the move h4. And my backup plan was f5, which looks maybe a bit weird, but it made sense. And it still makes sense to me in this position. If I get, so I'm threatening a move. If I get f4, then this bishop is dead. Then this is practically closed, and I can just like slowly set up a queenside attack. Move my rooks here, knight goes here or something. I don't know. Not sure what I'd do, but like, take some time. But my opponent obviously can't allow me to do that, so they basically have to take. I take with the rook. And now their breakthrough of g5 is gone. So, I mean, they can still sack the piece. That's been a thing for quite a couple of moves, and will remain a thing for quite a couple of moves as well. But I think there's never anything concrete here if they sack a piece. And any other plan is basically just doing this. Putting 3 pieces on the G file. And then I'd have to defend G7 and H6. So I'd move my king here, rook here, something like that. And like, if all of this setup just works, then I'd offer a draw and be fine. Actually, in this position wouldn't work because you can sack the piece because there's a pin on the G8 square. So I can't put my rook there actually. But I mean, the point still stands to an extent. There's always some pressure, but I think I can probably hold that because the only pressure is pressure that looks like this. And there's one thing here. Yeah, my opponent played a basically obvious move, rook d to g1, threatening to take this pawn, so I had to defend, and I defended like this, king h8, getting out of the pin. They played rook g3, and I believe here was the moment that my opponent mentioned that I had a different move to make, and I looked at it for a bit. I didn't really believe in it, honestly. I mean, it looked okay, but I thought that I could just again play. I played rook f7, which is still probably a fine move. My opponent mentioned this move e4, which I saw, and I saw that if they take, I win a piece because this is undefendable. I mean, kind of. You can maybe play this and just give me the piece, and then play this position. But I assumed that if I play e4, they'd play this, and if I take, I mean, then right now I probably can't take because rook takes g7. But so like rook g8 or something, and then they played this, and then I played. Oh, and then it's already defended. I think they can just ignore my threat of taking here, and I don't see anything that it does really. I mean, maybe it does because of in this position, not this one, but this one, they kind of have to take back, otherwise they yeah, but otherwise they have to move something off of the G file basically, and I mean they always have to do that, so I think they basically have to take, and then this is actually pretty decent. I think I'd hold this. I'd probably hold this. Like, oh, actually, do I win a piece here? I do. Interesting. So, okay, I'll look at that with the engine later. But yeah, I played rook f7. That was the only real moment, I think. That might be... I might have been able to play e4 and now... I mean, I still don't think it's that good. There should be other things. I thought you just ignore it and just play on. My opponent played queen g2 here, which also prevents e4 because you just take. Also note on e4 you can't ever push because then the bishop gets blocked. So yeah, queen g2, knight. Oh yeah, here I played a move I think is fine. So I saw issues with bishop d3 and putting mostly there actually on g6, putting pressure with the bishop. However, if I play knight b6 here, they can do that. Because they haven't fully prepped their position yet, I think that's fine. I don't think there's anything concrete here, So if they play bishop d3, I would have just taken the pawn. Well, maybe there's this. Just back. No, then I take the bishop. Maybe you take and then do this. But I still think this is fine because I attack the queen. Yeah. So that was basically my point. And if they don't play bishop d3, which happened in the game, they play bishop b3, then the bishop just takes quite a while longer to get into the attack, which was the point. So this move lost me a tempo to gain a tempo, and yeah, I think it's fine. My opponent really said that this was a terrible move, and I strongly disagree. I think this is totally fine. Yeah, but now I play a bad move, and I think that this is the... Well, no, I don't technically play a bad move here. The next move is actually bad, and then the game just ends because I missed my opponent's point. So I played the move knight f6, which has some threats maybe. I saw, like, you can sack here maybe. I saw that my opponent had the option of playing bishop g5, which they did, and which is not necessarily winning, but it kind of invalidates my move. I think maybe I should play queen c7 here. I think that's solid. And then just threaten this, and I mean, they can take and I take back. I think that'd be okay. But instead, what I did, and this just loses. I took the bishop, and I saw that this is a check, and I lose the piece. But I missed, so this is what happened. I missed, instead of taking the knight, which would have been fine for me, I think, I missed this. And this is over. The game just ends here. I play a couple more moves, but it's just over here. And now I lose. I mean, I can show you two moves, it doesn't really matter. So I have to block, what's the point, so I don't actually get checkmated. But here they just take here, and it's like there's nothing. Take rook h7. Yeah, so I lose. So how did I play? I mean, clearly this is fine. This is main. It's just book line. Bishop b4 is bad, which I knew. The number I had in my head was actually plus 0.9 here. But yeah, a3. I have to take. They have to take back with the knight, and now it just doesn't matter. I assumed that bishop c4 would be worse than bishop e3. Really? Okay, I would have played bishop g5 here, but I guess. Okay, this is okay. I have to play d6 at some point. Apparently not yet. g4 immediately. Cool. Now d6. 2. Yeah, this is all okay. Oh, you can take with the knight, really? Wait, what? Wow. That's beautiful. Okay, I missed that. Whoops. Okay. So, bishop takes, and this is still fine. Yeah, I looked at knight d4, and my opponent strongly disagreed, and I looked at it and also didn't really like it. So my point, I'll just turn off the engine actually, after knight d4. I mean, it has some threats, I believe. You can't take. I don't think you can take. I'll show you. Check. My opponent said king f2, but like, yeah, whatever. And then my plan was this, I believe. Maybe not. Maybe I have to be a bit more proactive here. I mean, worst case I can do this, and play this down a pawn. Probably get it back somehow. So you go here to prevent rook e2. And I mean, I think I'd be able to play this for a draw. But I'm probably missing something here. Let's actually turn on the engine. It does like taking, and everything else is bad. Because I just... oh yeah. Because of like, this is actually a threat. Take, take. King f2, of course. Queen e5. Rook e1, which I saw. Queen f5. Nice idea. Putting some pressure here and there. Still, can you take the pawn? Oh, I take on c2 is the point. Ah, nice. And if you play another move, then I can always just take here with the knight, and that's probably a reasonable endgame. h5. That's not a move. But like rook c8 is fine. Yeah, this is probably fine to play. Yeah. This is just a draw probably. Makes sense. Okay, but knight b8 is then bad, of course. Right, yeah. e4 here already. Apparently, sure. This is apparently terrible. f5 is the best move, but it's bad. I assumed that this would be okay, but I guess not. Yeah. And now, yeah, e4 is bad. Makes sense. Yeah, it's also this, and probably this is also bad, and like take, and like, yeah, rook takes g7, or if I just defend. Ah, I can't defend like that, so I'll defend like this. Now you can even push, but like this is also just cry. Yeah. Okay, e4 there was bad, so this is fine. Ooh. I had a chance. Yeah, I looked at knight f6 and knight h5 would have been interesting. But I did play it actually. Queen f8. I mean, a lot of things are fine. Not taking is basically the point. Yeah. Unfortunate. Queen c7 would have been fine as well. But taking just loses because of the move h6 or g6, which I missed. Apparently taking is... where is it? +4 even, which I did not expect. But yeah, this is just over. Unfortunate. But yeah, this happens. Yeah. Better luck next time. Next time will be in mid-January or something. So I'll see you next year.